Good morning. I hope that I am live now. It's hard for me to, yes, I think I am. Good morning, everybody. I hope you had a nice Easter weekend and enjoyed some quiet time, family time, whatever it is that you wanted to do this weekend. So if you're here, please let me know. Say hi in the comments. Let me know that you are listening. I am very happy to be here to be able to talk to you guys about anything that you want to focus on. One of the things that I'm going to focus on today is how to co-parent with respect when you're not shown respect from your ex. Um, and we're going to cover a bunch of other things, but I'd love to know who's around, who's watching, and what you'd like me to cover. So I can start with this: how to co-parent with respect when you're not being shown respect. Hi, Stephanie, welcome. Um, so it's really important that you do try to maintain a respectful atmosphere with your co-parent, or whatever you want to call it, your ex, your parent, your children's other parent. I know some people in the group have said that they don't like that term co-parent, but it's just an easy term for me to use, because you can co-parent whether you're married or you're not. Hi, Gracie. Good morning. So co-parenting is just a term where two people are parenting together, so it really isn't about divorce, separation, or anything like that. So I hope you all can be okay with me using that term. But the reason why you want to be respectful to the person that you're parenting with, even if they're not respectful back, is because it's for your children. Your children see how you parent together. They feel it. Even if you're not doing anything negative in front of them, they know what the relationship is because of the questions that you ask, because of the tone that you have. I mean, kids know what's going on. So you may think that you're hiding things, but it's very hard to hide things when you're in the same family, in the same house. Um, so so that's why it's important, to be respectful no matter what the other person is doing, because number one, you can't control the other person, you can only control yourself. And if you're respectful, hopefully eventually the other person will be respectful. But how do you do that? Really, the way to do that is to think of the other parent as like a colleague, a coworker, someone that you just have to, get things accomplished with, not someone who you have an emotional connection with, which it's very hard to do. So you have to detach. And I don't know if anybody got my bubble technique in the email, but it's a great technique, and it's a way for you to detach from anybody. And it's just a visualization where you visualize a bubble around you that protects you from anything that anybody else does. So if your ex says or does anything, you just imagine that they're in their own bubble, you're in your own bubble, and anything they say or do can't penetrate into your bubble. You are safe in your bubble. And the truth is, you are safe. You're not together anymore in an emotional way. So anything they say really doesn't matter. They can accuse you of things, they can say something you did was wrong. That's their opinion. They're entitled to their opinion, and you can just accept that and say, it doesn't really affect me in the same way. So Gabe just asked, how is co-parenting possible when my ex doesn't even communicate? So that is difficult. I would either try to get a professional involved, a co-parenting counselor, a co-parenting session where you can talk with a professional. You may have to get attorneys involved because, if they won't even respond, I mean, you have to work together. I mean, if you have an agreement, if you have a signed agreement, it is mandated in that agreement that you work together on these things, that they notify you of certain things. So you may want to email them with the exact wording from your agreement that says, we, as per the agreement, we need to communicate about X. So I would start not with an attorney, because that just ratchets up the intensity and the conflict. If you have any mutual friends or family that you can ask to talk to them, that might be another option, because maybe someone other than you can get through to them about how important it is that you can communicate. Offer these co-parenting sessions, because co-parenting sessions really are a wonderful way. I do them online, so you're not in the same room. But Gabe, I also want to ask why your ex isn't communicating. Is it, because of past things that you've done? Is it because, they're just avoiding dealing with the situation? I would really find incentive for the person to communicate. Either this is one technique that has worked for clients, where you do something really thoughtful for the other person, like you buy them a gift. I have a client who made a photo book for her ex's 50th birthday, and had each child write something that they, the reason why they love their father, and put it in this photo book and put it together, and had the children give the photo book to the other parent, to the father. And that broke down the barriers, and the two people were able to co-parent much better together. So, there are ways that you can work with people who are not communicative. But the other idea is to give them a little bit of space and not communicate for a while, and see what happens. If you give them, a week, 2 weeks, a month of space, and see if that can help too. So Donna said, great topic. I struggle with this with my ex for over 2 years now. He stresses my daughter out with the tension. Yeah, that's really true. Kids get stressed out with that tension. If Stephanie, if he's disrespectful, do I call him on it? I feel I need to calmly affirm my boundaries and not accept disrespect. You can call him on it, but you have to be careful. You have to do it respectfully. So I would just say something in a very non-emotional term. Please be respectful. We need to work together for the good of our children. One line. If you email him or, say it to him, one line. But if someone is consistently being disrespectful and you're on the phone, I would just end the conversation. Say, you know what, we can talk later when you're in a better place, or when you can be more respectful. And if someone is consistently like that on the phone, I would just communicate through email or text. Don't put yourself in a situation that you repeatedly have to deal with that, because it's not good for you. It's not good for them. I mean, they need to figure out a way to get out their anger in other ways. And don't take it personally. Someone being disrespectful is their problem. They're not able to control their emotions enough to be respectful towards you. That's their inability to control their emotions. So it's not really, use the bubble technique, where you're detaching from them and say, that's in their bubble. That's not in your bubble. The other piece of the bubble technique is, if their bubble starts to come over towards yours and they're starting to be disrespectful, imagine a golden waterfall falling from the sky right in between your two bubbles and pushing your bubbles apart, so that you really are separate from this person in an emotional way. I mean, you are going to be dealing with them for the rest of your life because of your children, but emotionally, they don't have the same connection with you anymore. And to recognize that is really powerful, because you really have the control over your own emotions and your ability to respond to them. So recognizing that your relationship with your co-parent is really under your control is really helpful and powerful. So back to when they don't communicate. There's usually a reason why people don't communicate. It could be anger. It could be, the way they deal with conflict. I mean, I don't know anybody's individual situation, but I'd love to hear what specifically the reason is that they don't communicate. And sometimes, sometimes people don't communicate because they don't think it's necessary. They don't feel like that's the type of relationship they want, where you co-parent together. It's unfortunate, because I think two people who are separated, divorced, who are co-parenting together is better for the children if you can do it in a productive way. Children love to see their parents working together in a positive way. They may not say that, but it really makes them feel better. It makes them feel safer. And when you get into the teenage years and all of those problems, working together is really powerful. But if one of the parents doesn't want to do that, you can't force that. So you have to accept the fact that they are not willing to do that, and move on and parent in the best way that you can, without the other parent. At some point, if you can get a professional involved, like a co-parenting person, that will help, because that person will explain the reasons why it's important to co-parent together. So I wanted to get to a couple of the other issues that people brought up. Someone brought up children cause and effect of marriage separation. And I think what you're asking is, do children cause separation and divorce? And I would say mostly absolutely not. Maybe children create stress on a marriage, and that does cause separation and divorce. I have to say something about that, though. There is this research that shows that parents of children who have serious disabilities have a higher rate of divorce. So when there is extreme stress on a marriage because of something with the child, that can cause divorce. But I don't know if that's what you were speaking about. But the effect on children in divorce is that children can be okay if the parents have a good working relationship. If there's not conflict and fighting, children really can be okay. And studies have shown that children do equally as well in married families without conflict and divorced families without conflict. So that's a really important thing to remember. And you can share that with your ex if they're not willing to communicate with you. Another question is how to explain COVID to a 2-year-old. I don't know that you want to explain the COVID-19 situation to the 2-year-old that much, not in great detail. I think you can talk to them about how, we're going to be in the house for a while, and that's, fun, and we can do different things, and there's just, something going on outside that we're not supposed to go out right now. But 2-year-olds don't really understand everything, and you don't want to scare them. And I don't think that they really care that much if they're in the house with you guys versus going out and doing things. We care, but a 2-year-old's world is their parents, very mostly. So if we don't make a big deal about it, they probably won't either. If we just say, you know what, we have to stay in the house for now. I mean, definitely take them outside as much as you can if you can walk with them or do things outside. But just explain to them, so and so is like, if they can't see their friend, oh, they're not feeling well right now, we can't go over there, but we'll see them again soon, So, and a 2-year-old's idea of time is not really the same as an adult. So, you don't really have to explain that much to a 2-year-old about COVID. And I also wanted to share, if is there any other questions from people who are watching? I wanted to share some information. I went through a training this weekend about people who are about being grounded, and when you're stuck, and how to get unstuck. If you're stuck in anger, which a lot of us are when we're going through divorce, because there's a ton of anger, there's a ton of lots of emotions, but anger is one of them, and we can be stuck. So how do you get yourself grounded when you're stuck in a certain emotion? And I highly recommend meditation. Meditation has been shown to rewire your brain in a very positive way. Okay, so this training talked about the ego, and your ego tells you, the id, ego, and superego. So your ego is the part of your brain that tells you that you're in control. So our brain will tell us, I'm in control, I don't have to worry, I really can control things. And that's just not true. We're not in control of most things. And meditation helps us recognize that it's okay that we're not in control, that things can happen, that we're not in control, and it's all right. We have to let go of that idea that we're in control. So that's why meditation is so powerful, because it helps us be okay with the fact that we're not in control. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about, and they call it domesticating the ego. So it's like this, your ego thinks, oh, I can be in control. And when you meditate, you domesticate it and you say, no, you're not going to be in control. And that's okay. And that feeling, that letting go, and that feeling saying, I'm not going to be in control and it's okay, is such a relief. And it's such a way to de-stress the body and the mind, that that's what's so powerful about meditation. And I think with divorce and hoping that you want control of all this stuff, and especially with the COVID-19 stuff, we aren't in control. So it's really powerful to be able to let go of that idea of being in control. So from Ernestina, do we need separate lawyers to get divorced if we are amicable, or just a mediator? Actually, I do not recommend people get separate lawyers unless they have to, except I would do this one thing. So when you're getting a divorce, I would use a mediator, because that's one person you're paying for the two of you. If you each get a lawyer and work through your lawyers, you're paying two people to communicate. It's extraordinarily more expensive. So hire a mediator and if it's amicable, Ernestina, you are one of the lucky ones, and that's great. But also, each of you, I wouldn't force anybody to get a lawyer, but I recommend you get a lawyer to look over the agreement before you sign it, and just to consult along the way. So you just talk to them every time you have a question or concern, but you don't have to have them really involved. The real person who's writing up the agreement is the mediator, and one of your lawyers can submit it to the court. That's how it works in certain states. Every state is a little bit different. So having a consultation with a lawyer in your state is really important, just like a 1-hour consultation before you do anything. And then you can hire the mediator. Gary, really appreciate the tips on dealing with disrespect from ex. Good. Another thing I deal with is how to get my 10-year-old to talk about her feelings about the situation. Okay, so it's hard to get a 10-year-old to talk about anything in terms of feelings, but if they're not willing to talk, don't force it. Just let them know. Let your 10-year-old know that if they ever want to talk about anything, you're here for them. they do need to talk about it. What I tell clients is that when you have feelings, and this is good to tell children, when you have feelings and they're inside, it's like a jar with the top screwed on. It stays in that jar. So the feelings stay there. Once you open up the jar and the feelings can get out, they go away. So your feelings are inside you if you don't talk about it. Once you talk about them, they go away and you feel better. So just kind of explaining that to a child is helpful. And then just leave it, let your child go and say, if you're, ever need to talk about anything, I'm here for you. And eventually they will, if you let them be, eventually they will. Usually the best time to talk to kids is not when you're looking at them face to face. It's when you're driving them somewhere, or you're playing a game, or you're doing Legos, or whatever it is you do with your children, and they're doing something else. A lot of the feelings come out. And that's the idea of play therapy. A lot of people, therapists do play therapy with children, and that's kind of the idea. You're playing and, you're getting them to talk while they're playing, so they don't even realize they're talking. So Richard, my 23-year-old son won't talk to me since I left his mom 18 months ago. That's really difficult. I'm sorry to hear that, Richard. Can you write a letter to your son, apologizing, telling him you love him, telling him that you would do anything, to have a relationship with him? And I have a lot of information for you, Richard. I'm actually gonna, I'm writing down your name. I'm gonna message you, because there's a lot of information to reconnect. I've actually done reunification counseling, which is where parents have been, not in contact with their children. And so that is an option too, to do reunification counseling, but he has to be willing to do that. And I have to know a little bit more details about why he's saying he won't talk to you, or why you think he won't talk to you. But okay, I am going to be ending in a couple minutes. I just wanted to say thank you. I really appreciate all the questions and even just saying hello that you're watching. I appreciate that. And because it's really nice to get questions and to interact with you guys. And I just wanted to say also on the group, if you have an issue that you're dealing with, other people in the group, I'm sure, will be able to help and give ideas. So I encourage you to post things, like comments and issues that you're dealing with, for help from the group. And, I will also answer, but I really like other people supporting each other. And I see that it's happening on the page, and I really appreciate that. Okay, I have something from Gracie. What do you do when the children don't feel safe to tell the other parent how they feel, and the other parent blames you, stating that their feelings are based on yours? The other parent isn't willing to own any of their part, which has the kids feeling lied to. Yeah. This is a little bit complicated, what you're talking about. So children, if they don't feel safe with the other parent, there's you are the one that they feel safe with. So that's a positive thing. So you continue to be the one that they feel safe with. They blames you. Okay, so stating that their feelings are based on yours. So I'm not sure what you mean about blames you, stating that their feelings are based on yours. But I think what you're saying is that they're angry because you're angry, or they're feeling a certain way because you have done something. And what I would tell the children in those circumstances is that neither of us, mom or dad, should speak about what's going on between us to you. That is really between us, and you are not supposed to be involved. So if I do it, or if your dad does it, or your mom does it, you just tell us, you're not supposed to talk to me about that. So when you're telling your children how to respond, you're teaching them how to set boundaries. And so they have an idea of how to go into a conversation with a parent who starts saying negative things about the other parent. So just simply say to your children, mom or dad should never say anything negative about the other one. We shouldn't. So if I do it, stop me. We never should say anything negative about the other parent. So that gets into their head so that they understand that that's not okay, and that if we ever do, just tell us that it's not okay. So that you're giving them the words to set the boundaries with the other parent. And eventually kids do that. They learn how to do that. Even if they don't feel safe, they may shut off. They may not say anything to the other parent, but they may just turn and walk away and go to their room or something. So I hope that's helpful, Gracie, because that's really, really important when you have a parent saying negative things about the other parent. It's really not good for children to hear that, but it happens all the time, and it's really important for children to understand how to set boundaries. I mean, we all slip sometimes. Sometimes we'll say things that we shouldn't say that's negative about the other parent, and I get that. But if your child, hears that and says, "Hey, you said you weren't going to say anything negative," that's good. You know that they're able to set boundaries. So that's a really important thing to teach children. So I hope this was helpful this morning, and I look forward to the next one next Monday. And I really appreciate all of you being in the group and participating. Have a good day. Take care.